The Dunwich Horror. H.P. Lovecraft's tale of forbidden rituals and cosmic terror. In the forgotten hills of western Massachusetts lies a place time has long abandoned, a desolate village shrouded in fog and superstition. They call it Dunwich. It is not a place found on maps easily, and even those who know of it seldom speak its name aloud. The roads that lead there are crooked and narrow, hemmed by forests that whisper even when the wind is still. The people of Dunwich are a quiet, secretive lot, their eyes hollow, their faces weathered by something older than mere hardship. To outsiders, it feels as though they live under a curse, a shadow that never leaves. At the heart of that shadow stood the Whateley family. Old man Whateley, gray-bearded and hunched, was said to be half mad, or worse, half sorcerer. He lived with his daughter, Lavinia, a pale albino woman with hair like drifting snow and eyes that seemed to stare through you. Her child, born one dark night without a father's name, became the most whispered about being in the valley. They called him Wilbur Whateley. From the beginning, Wilbur was wrong. He learned to walk and talk with unnatural speed. His body grew grotesquely fast. By the age of 10, he stood taller than most grown men. His limbs stretched too long, his skin coarse like animal hide. He spoke in a rasping, ancient tongue that even his grandfather sometimes failed to understand. And always, there were the rituals. Old man Whateley would vanish into his barn at midnight, carrying candles and books that reeked of decay. The neighbors said the lights that glowed from within were not the color of fire, but of sickness, a pulsing green that flickered like something alive. From time to time, the air would tremble with a deep, guttural sound, as though something vast and unseen stirred within. No one dared to go near that barn. When Lavinia disappeared one night, they said she had gone mad and wandered into the hills. But some whispered she had been taken, fed to something the Whateleys had been nurturing in the dark. Wilbur grew older, his face twisting into something less human each year. He carried books written in ancient symbols, muttering words that made dogs howl and cattle panic. Some nights, he would climb Sentinel Hill, drawing circles in the earth, chanting to the sky, calling upon something that was listening, something that waited beyond the stars. And sometimes, when the clouds parted and the moon turned red, a faint voice would echo from the Whateley barn. Not Wilbur's, not old man Whateley's, but something far deeper, something that should never have been heard by human ears. When old man Whateley died, the hills grew quieter, but the silence felt heavier, as though it was waiting for something to begin. Wilbur buried his grandfather without priest or prayer. After that day, he lived alone in the crumbling farmhouse, sealing off the rooms with strange runes drawn in blood and chalk. The locked barn was never opened, but the noises inside grew louder. And once, a traveler swore he saw the boards bulge outward, as if something enormous pressed from within. Wilbur's obsession turned toward a single goal: obtaining the complete version of the Necronomicon, the forbidden book of the dead gods. The copy in Dunwich was incomplete, its words eroded by age. He needed more. And so, he traveled to Miskatonic University in Arkham, cloaked and hooded, to beg the scholars for access. But they refused. That night, he tried to steal it. When the alarm rang, they found his body, or what was left of it, at the library door. Half of it was human, the other half monstrous, gray and slimy, covered in scales and small pulsating eyes. The stench made strong men retch. Before dawn, they burned the remains. But as the smoke rose, a strange wind swept through Arkham, and the sky flickered green. Back in Dunwich, the Whateley farmhouse shook violently. The barn doors split apart, and the thing inside was free. For the next several nights, the hills of Dunwich echoed with screams. Cattle were found torn open, their flesh stripped clean. Houses collapsed as if crushed by an unseen weight. Tracks appeared in the mud, enormous, inhuman, leading nowhere. Those who survived described an invisible mass that glimmered faintly, like a mirage, a colossal shape sliding across the land, bending trees and splitting stone. Some swore they could see flashes of its form, tentacles, eyes, bones that twisted through the air itself. Then came the voice, booming across the hills, shaking the ground. Yog Sothoth is the gate, the key, and the guardian. The villagers fled. Those who stayed went mad. And through it all, the presence grew stronger, vast, unstoppable, and ancient, as if the sky itself had opened to something beyond comprehension. In Arkham, Professor Armitage and his colleagues, Dr. Morgan and Dr. Rice, studied Wilbur's journals. What they found chilled them. A prophecy of the gate that would open, allowing the spawn of Yog Sothoth to enter this world. And they realized, too late, that the creature roaming Dunwich was not alone. It was Wilbur's twin, born invisible, monstrous, and waiting for its father to call it home. Armed with sacred words from the Necronomicon and a desperate hope, Armitage and his companions journeyed into the heart of Dunwich. The village was silent now, broken, deserted, half swallowed by fog. They climbed the ridge overlooking the valley, where the air shimmered as if reality itself was bleeding. The ground trembled under their feet, and the trees twisted unnaturally, reaching toward the unseen thing that moved among them. Then, from the mist it appeared. A vast, amorphous shadow, half visible, half dream. Its surface rippled like liquid, eyes blooming and closing across its body, tendrils writhing and clawing at the sky. It howled, and the world seemed to shudder in pain. The men fell to their knees, clutching their ears as the sound scraped their sanity. But Armitage stood his ground, opening the ancient book. He began to read. The words were older than mankind, syllables that twisted the air and bled into the soul. The creature screamed, recoiling as if struck by unseen fire. Around it, the air split apart, revealing glimpses of a realm beyond, swirling chaos, endless void, and colossal beings drifting through the blackness of eternity. "By the power of the key and the gate," Armitage shouted, "return to the void from whence you came." The monster writhed, its form unraveling into smoke and light. The wind rose to a hurricane, tearing through the valley. Rocks lifted from the ground, and the sky turned inside out with blinding white fire. And then, a voice. Faint, distant, almost human. "Father, Yog Sothoth, the gate is open." With a final shriek that tore the clouds, the thing vanished. The light died. The wind ceased. Only silence remained, vast and empty. When morning came, the valley was still. The Whateley farm was gone, nothing left but scorched earth. They buried what they could find and sealed the ruins with stones and prayers. But some things cannot be buried. The villagers rebuilt, though they never spoke of that night again. And yet, even now, when the fog drifts down from the hills and the moon hides behind clouds, those who listen closely swear they hear it. A whisper moving through the trees, a voice too old to name. Yog Sothoth is the gate. You have been listening to whispers in the dark, where the night remembers what man was never meant to know. You have heard the whispers, but the darkness is never silent. Return again, and let the shadows find you. Subscribe, if you dare.